They were free while we watched. The true crime story that refused to die. There are crimes the public forgets. And there are crimes that carve themselves permanently into the national memory, not because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen afterward. This is the story of a life taken, a sentence that stunned an entire country, and the chilling question that still refuses to be buried. What if the real justice was never served? Before we dive into the main story, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell notification button for more interesting video like this. On a rainy Tuesday evening in the quiet Abana district, 28-year-old schoolteacher Miriam Adebayo locked her classroom, stepped into the dim parking lot, and vanished. She was supposed to meet her sister for dinner. She never arrived. By 9 p.m., her phone was ringing unanswered. By midnight, her family was calling the police. By morning, the entire district was searching for her. 3 days later, a hiker found her body in the woods beside the old quarry road, bruised, half-buried, and wrapped in the same sweater she wore that night. Her death shook the community. But it was the arrest that followed that broke it. When police announced an arrest, the town braced itself. But no one expected him. Daniel Coro, 23. A delivery driver. A first-time offender. Soft-spoken, almost shy. He told the police he had seen Miriam that night, that they argued after his motorcycle accidentally splashed her with muddy water. But he insisted he didn't hurt her. Prosecutors disagreed. In court, they presented a fingerprint on Miriam's broken bracelet. Dirt from the quarry found on Danny's boots. A witness who heard two voices arguing near the woods. Was it airtight? No. But it was enough for the jury. Danny Okoro was convicted of manslaughter, not murder. And then the judge pronounced the sentence. 8 years. 8 years, for a life lost. The courtroom gasped. Miriam's mother collapsed. People watching the trial on television erupted online. #Justice for Miriam trended for 11 days straight. Talk shows demanded answers. Legal experts called it one of the most lenient sentences in decades. Celebrities weighed in. Protests grew outside the courthouse. And as the world watched in disbelief, Danny walked out with a calm, unreadable expression. Not free, but far, far freer than anyone expected. For years, the case simmered like a wound that refused to heal. Every time Danny appeared at a parole hearing, journalists flooded the gates. Every time Miriam's birthday passed, her family posted tributes that went viral. Every time a new crime documentary series needed a miscarriage of justice example, this case was mentioned. People didn't just believe the sentence was too low. People believed Miriam had not been fully avenged. But outrage alone could not change anything, until a new detective joined the cold case review team. Detective Kaima Eze, 34, brilliant, meticulous, and deeply suspicious of open and shut cases, requested to re-examine Miriam's file. Within weeks, she found something. Something no one had noticed. Something that shouldn't exist. At 2:17 a.m. on the night Miriam disappeared, an old weather camera near the quarry captured a blurry scene. A motorcycle speeding away. A figure running in the opposite direction. Then, another motorcycle. 2 bikes. 2 riders. 2 potential suspects. But Danny only owned 1 motorcycle. He never mentioned a second rider. And prosecutors never asked. The footage had been dismissed as unrelated during the first investigation. Kaima didn't buy it. She dug deeper. And deeper. And deeper. Until she found a name. A name connected to Danny. A name tied to previous violent behavior. A name that had left the country 2 days after Miriam's murder. And suddenly the darling narrative, the simple case, the closed case, the 8-year outrage, shattered. Had the courts punished the wrong person? Or had Danny protected someone? 8 years passed quickly. Danny walked out of prison in October, quiet, expressionless, refusing interviews, as hundreds gathered outside the gates screaming. 8 years? That's all? Miriam deserved better. But as he stepped into the waiting car, he turned once, just once, toward the cameras. And for the first time, he smiled. Not a relieved smile. Not a grateful smile. A secretive one. A knowing one. A smile that said, "You have no idea what really happened." 2 months later, Detective Kaima Eze received an anonymous envelope. No return address. No handwriting. Just a USB drive. Inside was a high-resolution enhancement of the quarry footage, a voice recording, and a single sentence typed on a blank page. "You looked in the wrong direction." The enhanced footage clearly showed the second rider's face. It was not Danny. It was someone older. Someone more muscular. Someone familiar. The problem? The man in the footage had been declared dead 5 years ago. Detective Kaima froze the video, zooming in on the rider's helmet, on the distinctive scar on the cheek, on the unmistakable resemblance. Was the death faked? Was it a case of identity theft? Or had the real killer been alive, and free, the entire time? Before she could report it, her office lights flickered. Her phone buzzed. One message. No name. No number. Just 5 words. "Stop digging. You're next." She moved her hand slowly toward her service weapon. When she looked up again, the figure was gone. The enhanced footage kept replaying in her mind. The scar. The build. The walk. It belonged to Solomon Uma, Daniel Okoro's older cousin, a man with a violent past, a man suspected in 2 assaults, and a man who supposedly died in a warehouse fire 5 years ago. But the footage didn't lie. Solomon was alive. And Kaima was certain. He was the one Miriam saw last. He was the real rider in the woods. He was the real killer. But why did Danny take the fall? Why serve 8 years in silence? There was only one answer. Fear. Fear of a man who could vanish. Fear of a monster who killed in the dark. Fear of family loyalty mixed with terror. 3 days later, Kaima tracked Danny to a small rented room outside the city. He opened the door slowly. He looked thinner, older, but his eyes were heavy with secrets. "Danny," she said softly, "your cousin is alive. And he killed that girl." Danny's breath trembled. For a moment he said nothing, until his eyes filled with tears. "I tried to stop him," he whispered. "I tried, but he threatened my mother, my sister. He said if I talked, they'd end up like Miriam." His voice cracked. "And I knew he'd do it." Kaima leaned forward. "Where is he now?" Danny swallowed. "He told me he'd come back for me once I got out." That night, it happened. Kaima and Danny were still talking when a sharp sound split the air, the creak of a broken floorboard just outside the door. Danny froze. Kaima reached for her gun. And then the lights flickered. A voice, deep, cold, slid through the darkness. "Little Danny, you've been talking too much." A shadow filled the doorway. Broad shoulders. Dark helmet. A scar shining under the streetlight. Solomon. Alive. Breathing. Smiling like the devil himself. "Detective," he growled, "you should have left the dead buried." What happened next took 3 seconds, but would live forever in Danny's memory. Solomon lunged. Kaima fired. Glass shattered. Danny screamed. The room filled with smoke, dust, and the smell of gunpowder. When silence finally fell and the air cleared, Solomon's body was gone. The window was open, shards on the floor, rain blowing inside. He had escaped. Again. But on the windowsill, as if left on purpose, was a single object. Miriam's missing earring. The one detectives searched for. The one never recovered from the crime scene. Fresh blood dripped from it. Kaima stared at it, her pulse shaking her entire body. "He was here," she whispered. "He was with her that night. We were right. Danny sank to the floor, hands over his face. He won't stop, he said. He won't ever stop. Kaima closed her hand around the earring, her jaw set, her voice trembling with emotion. No, she said. But neither will I. She stepped to the window, rain hitting her shoulders like cold needles. Somewhere out in the storm, a killer who cheated death twice was walking free. And he had left a message, written in blood across the window frame. This isn't over. Want more stories like this? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our story, because this is just getting started.